In the Business Edge today, Ford happens to be the latest company giving employees more of an option to work from home indefinitely with a hybrid work schedule. Here to talk more about what Americans are saying overall about working remotely is Wu Becker of Behavox. Thanks so much for being with us. We are in uncharted territories here with the work from home trend during the pandemic. What are you learning?
Yeah, we did a study recently right in the throes of this pandemic that we're still finding ourselves in, to really measure the amount of risk that companies are facing, not just risk, but also maybe I would call it the mindset or the mental state of companies and their corporate cultures as the monotony of many of us working from home indefinitely starts to drag on. I mean, we are now at a year anniversary and counting, as we all know. So what we found is a bit startling. We did find that obviously the stress levels and the levels of disenfranchisement amongst employees in any industry is starting to ratchet up. And that's obviously because of the social disconnection that we have of not being in the office every day with our peers. Zoom or WebEx or Skype, it can only get you so far. But the problem with that is that the professional standards of these employees are starting to also denigrate in some capacity to where it starts to increase risk of potential misconduct or negligent mistakes or even malicious mistakes in terms of harming companies' security, their risk management, and their ability to actually protect information and each other.
How do you think business owners can do a better job of keeping in touch with employees?
That's a great point. In fact, look, I don't have data on this, but I'm going to be rhetorical. I think you would agree. We would all agree with this one. If you measure the amount of interaction you had pre-pandemic when you were in the office with your manager, for example, and then also maybe even do the same test with your peers, your teammates, you would have X amount of hours a day per se. And if you measure whether or not that has increased, stayed flat, or decreased during this pandemic, in many cases, what we've seen in our study is that there's been a rapid decline of touch points between employees and their managers, which affects everything from, hey, am I going to get promoted or raised, to things like, hey, are you helping me with career development? Do I want to stay here 3 to 5 to 7 years versus just 1 to 2 because you're taking care of my career path? So what I would say, and what we've found also as a company at Behavox, is that the amount of interaction between employees and other employees, namely their bosses, which do control a lot of their corporate livelihoods while they're employed, is declining. And that is where I think it's an easy opportunity to have more touch points and more discussion, more one-on-ones. There's no loss in you can't have one-on-ones every day or every other day to just have a social touch point. Sometimes we'll have one-on-ones at our company that have nothing to do with work. It's just the lead question is, how are you doing? And what's going on today? And it could be anything about current events, the weather, what have you. But the personalization needs to ratchet up considerably when you're not in a personal state, which is in person in the office.
Thanks so much for sharing your study with us, Neil, and we wish you the best.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day. Thank you.
More Business First AM. Check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And go to businessfirstam.com for where to see our show on TV.